Well, good morning. I'm John Engen, Mayor of the City of Missoula, and this is the 4th of May and our daily update. The folks who provide some of our information every day, our communications team, are trying to remind us in not so subtle ways that this is Star Wars Day. So my notes say, may the 4th be with you. I'm just going to go with it, even though I'm more of a Star Trek guy myself. So live long and prosper as well. Happy to have Commissioner Juanita Vero with us this morning from all the way across the street, and today all the way in Greeno, along with Doug Gillespie, who's our special guest today. Doug teaches 3rd grade at Russell Elementary, for which I suggested earlier that I would nominate him for sainthood. Grateful for all of these teachers who do all this great work. He's been at Russell for 8 years, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about what it's like to do online instruction and try to adjust to this new normal and take care of our kiddos. Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you so much, Mr. Gillespie, for being here. So this is our first pandemic, and we're assuming it's yours as well. And we can imagine that teaching online is stressful and unique, to say the least. So yeah, help us understand what your classroom looks like now.
Sure. So yeah, this is my first pandemic. It's been interesting. My classroom is based on what my normal classroom would be, just in an online environment. I'm still serving 19 students. My classroom before was a classroom where kids were able to come in and do a lot of hands-on activities, whereas now we've had to completely adjust to the online world, which has been challenging for not only the students, but for myself, trying to find materials to teach that type of method, and also that goes along with our curriculum.
So not only do you not have kids in an actual physical classroom, you're missing that proximity with your colleagues, right? So a lot of what we all do is we bounce ideas off one another. Occasionally we vent about some of our circumstances in the workplace. Sometimes you have to team up to figure out how to help a particular kiddo. What's that like for you now?
Well, you know, it's not too much different than the way it had been before. I'm really fortunate that I work with 2 tremendous teachers. We plan weekly, and oftentimes we meet 2 or 3 times a day just to bounce ideas off of each other. With this new online environment, it hasn't changed that much. We do a lot of online class meetings similar to what we're doing right now. The information that we gather is typically planning, of course, to whatever hiccups we may have during the day's lesson, but also looking ahead to see how we can best serve our students in terms of the curriculum that we need to complete by the end of the year. So yes, we do. We meet often as PLCs, not only in our grade level, but also as staff in our building, and then district-wide.
And then maybe you could talk about that collaboration with other staff, and how you reach kids that might have different learning styles or needs, and how do you accommodate for that, or how do you work with them?
Great question. So of course we have kids across the spectrum in terms of needs, and we, of course, in the classroom, we make those adjustments in the classroom daily. We work with a number of specialists to meet their needs, and that's not unlike what we're doing today. For instance, I have a couple of students that need additional support, and we found that by working together with such as the resource room teacher, or even the PE teacher, or even the school counselor, we can provide the services that they need. I've got a great story. I have a student who is dyslexic, and she initially was really struggling with the online aspect of it. And so myself, along with the resource room teacher, came up with some lessons to send home in terms of packet material for them to work on. And we found that the packet material was working great, but the student was actually enjoying the online side of it and started to become more sufficient. And she has since kind of put some of that packet material behind her and is using more of the online tools that we're providing. She's successful. She's doing a great job with it. So we're seeing some good results.
That's great. Humans adapt, as it turns out, right?
Right. You bet.
That's impressive, and I'm glad you're. You think of all the kiddos who could get left behind in this situation, and again I'm hearing from you, from other teachers, from Rob Watson, from parents, how great you all have been about taking care of those kids who need a little extra help. We're grateful for that. So teachers, in my experience, are great planners. What have you learned about kind of your initial lesson plans? What you're getting out there, and how parents are as your sort of co-teachers, your homeschool helpers, right?
Right. Well, that has been the most challenging thing for me, at least the first couple of weeks of the process. Initially, I was planning like I was in the classroom, and I tend to overplan anyway. And I found that when I started the online lessons along with my co-teachers, we were developing way too much for the kids to try to complete. And it led to a lot of frustration, not only by the students, but by the parents. And we listened. That's the one thing that we had to make sure that was in place, was our line of communication. And so not only were we checking in with the students, but we were checking in with parents. And it helped us to try to reconfigure our lessons and adapt to that learning style that the students were now faced with. So our instruction went from, of course, about a 6.5-hour day of planning for me, down to 2.5 hours. And that's a lot, to try to condense in that short amount of time. And so we've been able to work together, my teammates and myself, to overcome that. One of the things that we did was that each one of us chose to take a specific subject matter and focus on that subject. And so, for instance, I handle all the reading lessons for the week, and that's across the whole third grade in our building. So as third graders tune in to our weekly lessons, they see a format that is consistent, and they know that I'm the reading teacher, Ms. Schumann is the writing teacher, and Ms. Masters is the math teacher. And so if they have questions, they can always go to them or myself. Now, that's not unlike the school setting, because we did a walk-to program, so the kids were familiar with that. So it made it real easy for them to adjust to the 3 different teachers.
So these are, what'd you say, 8 and 9 years old, right? Third grade. What's some of the unique work that they've shown you, or can you speak to that at all?
Sure. So one of the assignments that we put together was a writing assignment. Initially, we were following along with our text, and the kids had found that it really wasn't that enjoyable to them. Obviously, they had got a lot on their mind. And one of the parents came to me and said, I saw something really unique on Facebook. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm willing to listen, but I'm still trying to get in these writing tools that the kids need to have by the end of the year. So anyway, her idea was that, hey, these kids should possibly start creating a journal each week about what they're experiencing with COVID-19 and their quarantine. So as the week went on after I spoke with her, it really started to sink in, thinking, maybe this is a route to get them more involved. And it's something that they can keep for the rest of their lives. I mean, like you said at the beginning of our interview, how many of us have experienced a pandemic? And for an 8 or a 9-year-old to experience it, that's a lot different than what adults are feeling. So anyway, we put that into place, and each week, Miss Schumann puts out an example of a journal entry that she has created, and then the kids look at that entry and they start to write their own. And it's been really eye-opening. The emotional side has been probably the most challenging for me because I feel their pain, and it's been like a roller coaster. Initially, it was a lot of, I miss my classmates, I'm sad. And then the next week, it started to show a little bit of improvement in terms of feeling more adjusted to it. And then as it's progressed, we've noticed that a lot of the kids are like, I'm ready for this to be over with. Let's get back to normal, you know, like the rest of us. So it's been interesting. And I have some examples if you'd like for me to share some.
Sure.
That would be great. Yeah.
All right. So this one was from Tuesday, April 28th. It says, I'm so done with being inside, but my cousins are here today. I'm going out in my yard today. It's so sunny, but I miss all my friends, which is all the class. I hope everybody is okay. I'm so worried for everyone. I'm scared, but I'm still the happy girl I've always been. I'm still ready for any challenge. Hope you're still having fun. Bye. So that's a pretty good example of what a lot of the kids are feeling. I've got some more interesting ones. I've noticed the humor has come out in a number of kids. This student doesn't necessarily have a neighbor that practices social. I think you'll enjoy this. So on our nightly walks around the block, we met up with the neighborhood dogs. The neighbor who lives across the street, named Craig, lets Dougie, his golden retriever, out with his leash. Dougie is very friendly and is the neighborhood greeter. He goes from house to house to say hello. Last night, we left our front door open and Dougie came in to say hello. Seamus, my dog, growled at Doug. Doug didn't like Seamus growling at him. Doug was just trying to greet us. It took my whole family and 5 minutes to get Dougie out of our house. This is the most excitement I had in a long time.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So it's been very promising, I think, for a lot of these kids, and rewarding. The one exception is that I'm really the only one, along with their parents, that are seeing these things, and I would like to open it up more so that they can share with other students. It's just been a challenge trying to be able to do that. And
maybe even you're aware of the project at the Fort Missoula Historical Museum that's collecting what's happening and what our response is to COVID-19.
Right.
And you should give Matt Latzenhauser a shout, because these sort of like personal entries, I think, is what he's looking for.
Yeah, this would be perfect for that.
Yes, well worth archiving those sentiments for sure. And knowing that Dougie is going rogue gives me joy. So Doug, I'm hoping that this is our last pandemic. That you and I and Juan and others don't experience another one. But I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, some of which I'll have time at some point to ponder. What have you learned during the course of all of this?
Well, I think most of all, I've learned that we have to really practice empathy. Everybody's dealing with this differently, and it's been challenging for a lot of folks. Some kids have a great support group at home, and they've been able to survive much easier than some others. One thing I've learned is that the communication between parent and teacher and student is the key to education, which I already knew, but more so in today's environment. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the parents that I am working with daily. They truly have their students' best interests, and we always know that safety is first in the school setting, and They are aware that unfortunately we can't go back this year, but we are trying to do our best in this situation. I've also learned that the tools that we're using today could benefit our students in the future. One thing that I'm hoping to do next year when I hopefully am back in the classroom is be able to use more of these online tools. So if we do have to face another situation like this, and we don't know how long this may last, our students will be better prepared. So it's a whole new world, unfortunately, but we're going to make the best of it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you. You know, I grew up here in Missoula. I'm the product of public schools. I had so many remarkable teachers, and they had such an influence in my life. And I know that kiddos today, they are looking to folks just like you, who they'll remember for the rest of their lives as having had a positive influence and made them better human beings. So thank you for all that you do, even under challenging circumstances. And thanks for choosing teaching, and thanks for taking the time to shed a little light on what it's like out there in the world of education for us.
Well, thank you. I love my job and I'm thankful to have it.
Thanks so much, everyone, and hope you all have a great Monday. Yes, may the 4th be with you.